ele é do core do Joomla, tá certo? Mora em Nova York e foi convidado para a gente no começo da ideia do CMS Brasil. E na rasteira nós acabamos convidando também o Ryan Osmek, que mora em São Francisco, uma pessoa também que é mais ou menos o porta-voz da Open Source Matters no mundo, fazendo viagem para todo quanto é lado. Eles vão ter 1 hora de palestra, a gente está com tempo curto, tá ok? 1 hora e 10, e eles vão inclusive apresentar a dinâmica que eles vão utilizar os dois juntos na palestra, ok? Por favor.
Beleza. Sobre isso, eu estou sentindo online, mas por favor, obrigado, viu?
Meu nome é
Ryan Osmek. And first, I just want to say thank you to iMasters and Fabrica Libre, yes, for hosting us. They've been wonderful hosts. I'm Ryan Osmek. I'm from Open Source Matters, the president, or not president, wish I were president maybe, the secretary of the Joomla project, essentially, and I have with here
Anthony Ferrara, former development team coordinator and core team member of the Joomla project. I've headed both maintenance of the 1.5 release as well as the security teams. So, quick introductions, let's just get right into things. So, there's a couple rules. Now, these aren't the rules I normally use, simply because we're a little bit shortened on time. If you don't understand something, please ask at that time. If you want us to go into a little bit more detail, please ask. And save any other questions you may have for the end. We're going to try to leave about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes at the end for questions. Okay, so back over to you.
Excellent. And before I begin, just wanted to say something about why this is a really important event and why the things that we're doing in the open source community are so powerful. Right now, you all know about the recent actions happening in Iran after their election and the things going on there. Just a couple years ago, there was no Twitter. Facebook wasn't as powerful. The way that people are communicating using WordPress and open source projects is incredibly powerful in helping people get the word out about what's going on there and in other parts of the world. It wouldn't happen if people like you weren't here helping make contributions to that. And what we're going to be talking about today, we'll go into more detail about how Joomla is a tool that you can use to make sure you're getting your word out and making sure that people are hearing what you're doing. So to start here, we have a little agenda. We're going to be talking about what Joomla is, what we call power and simplicity. We'll be talking about developing with Joomla, because I know that we've got obviously a lot of developers in the house here today. Also going into the power of the community and the power that is within the community, which we'll be talking about the difference between those two. So what is Joomla and what does it mean by power and simplicity? Different projects have different taglines and ways of describing what they do. The Joomla project has always been very focused on end users, webmasters, people that are trying to get their content out to the community. While we do want to make sure to cater to our developers and designers, we've always wanted to make sure that the #1 thing that happens when we're developing code and releasing code for the community is that it's easy for average, non-technical people to use it. Power and simplicity really describes our thought of bringing together the powerful tools that are necessary to push the content out, as well as making it simple and effective for webmasters, average content creators, etc., to get their message online. Again, ease of use without without sacrificing power. Here's an example. I know that Matt spoke earlier from WordPress. WordPress has millions and billions of websites out there, and he discussed how easy it was using WordPress to have your message out there. On CNN, big news network around the world, obviously, a video just went out last night about a young 8-year-old child in Florida in the United States who has something called Tourette's syndrome. He has tics. He says things when he's not meaning to say things. It's a debilitating condition for many people. What he did is put together a Joomla-based website very quickly, posted it up online here in a way to make sure that the bullies, the bad people at his school, would essentially stop bugging him, stop causing problems. This has gotten major national press within just a couple of days. This is an 8-year-old child who put together a Joomla site that, before CNN hit it, was getting 5,000 visitors a day. I don't know how he's keeping his server up right now, but obviously he's talking now to CNN and America here. And an 8-year-old is communicating using Joomla. Really powerful example of what you can do with it. So again, talking about power and simplicity, two major communities we're looking at helping and assisting: users and developers. The goal is to bridge the gap between the two of them that we see too often is left open in the open source world. Either we're focused too much on developers and not making sure documentation and information about the tools are getting to the hands of people that need it, or we're focusing too much on the users. We're dumbing down the tools, we're making it too simple, and we're handicapping our developers from being able to make very powerful tools to help change our world. And so to move from one to the other, I want to talk a little bit about the development side, and luckily we have Anthony here to go into more detail.
So, we're going to go in today a little bit of... This on? Okay, there we go. I'm going to go into a little bit about Joomla 1.5, which is the latest version, and how it's built. Most people, when they think of Joomla, they think of the content management system, which is really what it is. But it's also an application framework, just like Zen or Cake or Symfony or dozens of others, and you can use it to build rich, powerful applications. We use MVC as a primary mode, and we take a little bit of a different stance on MVC, which we'll go into in a few minutes. And we'll also talk about extensions and how extensions make the developer's life easier, as well as the end user's life easier. So we'll start off with the two different parts. The framework is 100% object-oriented. There is only one function, one non-object piece of code in the entire Joomla framework. Completely different viewpoint from Drupal or WordPress. I'm not going to say which is better. Both have positives, both have negatives. We've chosen object-oriented. We believe that's the right route. So one of the big things that Joomla 1.5 does, and was really innovative about, was providing UTF-8 support, which, for those of you that don't know what UTF-8 is, it allows character sets like Chinese, Japanese, and pretty much any character set that you can imagine to be used and displayed by and processed by a Joomla framework. Something that PHP doesn't do very well. So we've come up with a huge set of libraries to be able to make PHP work with it. And then we have the content management system, which is built upon this framework. So you can either within the CMS utilize parts of the framework, or you can just ditch the CMS altogether and build your own custom applications. As far as applications themselves, the CMS is actually composed of 4 applications. You have the installer, you have the front end, which the users see, you have your administration, the back end, where you make changes to the site and add content, and we also have a web services application with XML RPC. So we just talked about some parts of this here. So Joomla is really built upon layers. You have the framework at the bottom, which is kind of the underpinning, this foundation upon which everything else is built. Then, like I said, with applications, we're built upon the framework. And then we have these things up here. We call them extensions. Basically, they provide the functionality, the interaction, and the general usability of the site. Now, how is this different than other systems? Very simple. The application manages the website. So it handles all your user authentication, it handles your sessions, it handles all of this stuff that normally a CMS just does intrinsically.